The leaves are falling from the trees and the days are getting shorter and cooler. Autumn is here and that means Halloween is on the way. It also means that supermarkets are suddenly filled with pumpkins. Over the last 20 to 30 years, there's been a steady increase in the availability and consumption of pumpkins in the UK. But if you're more accustomed to buying a pumpkin to carve it, then I want to try and change your mind and convince you to eat it instead. Keep watching as I explore why you should be eating your pumpkin and how to eat them. And do watch to the end, as I'll also be revealing the secret of the famous pumpkin spice. As always, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell so you're notified when we release more. So pumpkins are one of many different types of winter squash. They are native to America, where they're used for food, but routinely carved into jack-o'-lanterns. Quick note, jack-o'-lanterns are actually a UK-based tradition, but swede would have traditionally been carved instead of pumpkins. Now, pumpkins do make better lanterns. They're bigger, brighter, and a lot easier to carve than hard vegetables like swede. But why should you eat them? Number one, they're a good value vegetable. Pumpkins can be giant, and just about every part of a pumpkin can be eaten. The bright flesh, the skin, the seeds, and even the leaves of the plant can be eaten, meaning you get a lot of food out of just one vegetable. The second reason you should eat them is they're a good source of various vitamins and minerals. Like most vegetables, pumpkins contain an array of essential vitamins and minerals and fibre. But in particular, they're an excellent source of vitamin A. And 100 grams of pumpkin flesh can provide 50% of your RDA. They also contain vitamin C and the minerals phosphorus, manganese and potassium. Pumpkin seeds are a good source of essential omega fats, in particular omega-6, as well as being a source of zinc, and pumpkin seeds are often recommended for prostate care. Now, admittedly, the larger pumpkins that we use to carve lanterns aren't the most nutritious of the winter squashes. As a good rule of thumb, the smaller and brighter a squash, the more nutrients it has. So a butternut squash is a slightly better source of nutrients than a massive pumpkin. Still, even really big pumpkins do contain valuable nutrients. Plus, pumpkins can be eaten raw, and raw vegetables contain higher vitamins and minerals than their cooked counterparts. Although I have to admit I prefer the taste of pumpkin when it's cooked rather than when it's raw. The third reason you should eat them is they can be stored for a long time. In the right conditions, a pumpkin will keep fresh for several months, and pumpkins can be frozen for even longer storage. So, to store a shop-bought pumpkin, you need to first wipe it with a diluted vinegar solution, 1 part vinegar to 4 parts water. This will kill any pathogens that are on the skin of the fruit. Then pack the fruits into loose newspaper and store in a cool, dry place. They must be kept dry with a little bit of air around them. Pumpkins and other squashes stored this way will keep for 2 to 4 months, longer than many other vegetables. And the fourth reason why I think you should eat pumpkin is they're really versatile. Pumpkin can be used in sweet dishes, savoury dishes, drinks and food, and it can be served hot or cold, and even eaten raw, as I mentioned earlier. It is worth mentioning at this point that that infamous pumpkin spice latte that you'll see in coffee shops up and down the country doesn't actually contain any pumpkin, just pumpkin spice. But I'll talk more about that later. There are loads of ways that you can eat pumpkin at home. The simplest way is to simply cut the flesh into chunks and then roast these chunks. These roasted chunks can be used as a side dish or used to top salads. You don't even have to remove the skin, as this can be roasted and eaten along with the flesh. The roasted flesh can also be pureed to make pumpkin puree, and this puree can be used to make cakes, muffins or pies, and pumpkin puree can be frozen for use at a later date. Now you can add seasoning to your pumpkin before roasting. I like mine with Chinese 5 spice, or you could season it with classic pumpkin spice mix. A pumpkin spice mix is a combination of spices that help to draw out the flavour of pumpkin. As I mentioned earlier, it's this that's used in things like pumpkin spice lattes, not the actual fruit. So what is pumpkin spice? So pumpkin spice includes cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves and ginger. 4 warming spices that not only enhance the flavour of pumpkin, but can also provide additional health benefits too. So whilst you can buy ready-made pumpkin spice, this is the secret to making your own. Simply blend a teaspoon of cinnamon with 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger and 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. You can of course adjust these to meet your preferences. But that's simply pumpkin spice and delicious on chunks of roasted pumpkin. So whilst I'm not about to argue that pumpkins carved into jack-o'-lanterns don't look fantastic, they really do look awesome. There are lots of reasons and ways that you could eat pumpkin instead. As always, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell so you can be notified when we release more.